Okay. Hello and good afternoon. I am Rani Shaza along with my member Muhammad Afrin Hairi will present our progress report on the topic animal misconduct in zoos and aquariums. Without further delay, let's get it started. From early 2019, COVID-19 has completely taken the world by storm without prior warning. As a result, the the World the World Health Organization (WHO) addressed that COVID-19 can be specified as a pandemic. Due to the ongoing global pandemic, there are numerous restrictions and additional legislation by the government as an effort to keep the virus under control. Countless people are suffering from the sudden changes in individuals' lifestyles to conform to the new laws. Besides, the endless increasing number of individuals infected by the virus from day to day causes significant concern for people to be in public places. Therefore, business owners at their wits' end, as the world economy drastically dropped and will do anything to keep their company progress regardless of the global pandemic. This was highlighted in an article titled How Does Coronavirus Affect Animals in Zoos? Stated that zoos are one of many businesses negatively affected by the global pandemic. All the zoos in the United Kingdom have been closed to the visitors because of the widespread of coronavirus, resulted in zoos having to face severe financial crisis, which puts the animal at the risk of being killed purposely to escape bankruptcy. In another article titled 19 Heartbreaking Animals in Captivity Statistics, written by Philip Isakov in 2021, it explained the frequent occurrence of animal abuse in zoos and aquariums as they are exploited for various purposes regardless of their health deterioration in physical well-being and emotional stability. It was also mentioned that animals in zoos and aquariums are experiencing critical mental health issues from forcibly undergoing entertainment activities that involve performing in front of a large audience and human contact. Hence, it is undeniably true that zoo and aquarium animals are treated with cruelty and are taken advantage of human language to explain their misery in captivity. A statistic shows 75% of animals are abused in the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. The result is due to the careless act of zoos and aquariums, which often break the rules of the organization despite being a part of it. Implausibly, there are 1,200 aquariums and zoos in 78 countries which are connected to World Association of Zoos and Aquariums involved in such irresponsible act of animal misconduct. Therefore, this severe situation led to an argument that zoos and aquariums do engage in animal abuse by restricting animal freedom, causing starvation, and torturing emotions. Let me brief about the background of zoo. In the early 19th century, zoo was a symbol of royal power and wealth. For example, King Louis VIII menagerie at Versailles, as stated by National Geographic. This was in accordance with wall carvings in Egypt and Mesopotamia that served as evidence to prove menageries were created as early as 2500 BC by rulers and aristocrats. Later, in 1500 BC, Queen Hatshepsut established the first official zoo with a collection of animals from all over Africa. As of today, the world's oldest operating zoo is Vienna Zoo, which was chosen as a part of UNESCO World Heritage Site for its survival over. Now, To construct a perfect zoo and aquarium, the architecture ought to satisfy two conflicting conditions. The first one is animal comfort, and the second one is visitors' convenience. Thus, variation of size, layout, age, and climatic condition must be taken into consideration in building an optimal environment for animals and humans to be in one area while maintaining a good balance of harmony. Without doubt, architects involved in constructing a zoo and aquarium face difficulties to meet all the requirements that can provide absolute protection to human safety while simultaneously replicating the natural habitats of animals truly due to limitation of space. Furthermore, animal welfare is an equally important aspect as the architecture to make up an ideal zoo and aquarium. Animal welfare refers to the management of animals' condition, which includes treatments, animal care, animal husbandry, and humane practice. As stated by American Veterinary Medical Association, excellent animal welfare is shown when the animals are in healthy condition, stable, well-nourished, able to express extrinsic actions, and do not suffer from adverse states. In this context, humans are entirely responsible for providing good animal welfare, which consists of veterinary treatment, disease prevention, proper housing, management, nutrition, effective care, and human killing. Now let me elaborate about our first point. We strongly agree that zoos and aquariums abuse animals by limiting their freedom. As stated by Cambridge Learner's Dictionary in 2021, freedom indicates the state of not being in prison. On the contrary, zoos and aquariums place all the captive wild animals inside their respective cages and tanks. Therefore, it restricts their movement. Because of the small cages and tanks provided by the zoos, animals could not roam freely and lack physical exercises that weaken their stamina from time to time. Not only animals stamina has been affected by minimal freedom in zoos, but also their natural characteristic. Wild animals are gifted with survival traits that assist them in hunting to provide for their basic needs. These traits are gradually altered because wild animals which are in captivity of zoos and aquariums are provided with food at the same time are being manipulated for entertainment purposes. This limited space in zoo become a survey issue when zoo authorities use it as a justification for their action in killing animals. As an example, in an article by The Guardian, Maris the giraffe killed at the Copenhagen Zoo despite worldwide protests. It was said that a young giraffe named Maris was shot and killed at Copenhagen Zoo in 2014, right in front of visitors' eyes, in spite of numerous offers from other facilities and individuals to take it in. A month later, at the same zoo, 4 lions were brutally killed to make space for new lions. Another evidence of limited freedom is taken from people for the ethical treatment of animals. The article discusses about animals in zoos and aquariums do not have the freedom to make decisions. Animals in zoo and aquarium are extensively forced to engage in entertainment purposes. The entertainment show organized by zoos is torturing animals as they are obligated to behave as directed by the zookeepers so they can receive food. Oppositely, these animals will be punished as a consequence of their disobedience and misbehavior. also in the article, describes about the gruesome situation where trainers using bullhooks, whips, tight collars, muzzles, electric prods, and other painful tools of the trade to pressure animals to perform physically demanding tricks. In addition to entertainment purposes, zoos tear young animals from their mothers, rip families apart, and keep them individually in solitary confinement. Without having the chance to learn from house animals have no basic knowledge on how to care for their offspring. This, these stressful and frustrating conditions that they are kept in trigger the mother to harm their young. For example, the Oregonian News released an article titled Project Nora in 2017. It discloses the sad story of the loneliest polar bear named Nora that born in Columbus, Ohio. Nora's mother, Aurora, was distressed by confinement that she rejected her own baby shortly after birth. It was very rare in nature for animals to abandon their young, but sadly this is a normal occurrence in zoos. Hence, based on the evidence, it is clear that animals are indeed abused by zoos and aquariums in the aspect of limitation of freedom. Next, we strongly agree that zoos and aquariums abuse animals by causing starvation. In a YouTube video uploaded on by the Dodo, Indonesia zoo animals can be seen begging for food, and at some point, an orangutan took some plastic and shoved them inside its mouth to subdue its hunger. Thousands of zoo animals in Indonesia are struggling from starvation as the pandemic depletes food supplies. Also, 60 zoos with roughly 70,000 animals have been closed in March 2020, leaving them without revenue as they gain no profit from ticket sales. Thus, most specialties only have enough food to last until mid-May. A spokesman of the Indonesia Zoo Association, Sulhan Shafi'i, said, if we can't get aid from the government or any other international organization, then with a heavy heart, we have to sacrifice the herbivores such as deer and non-endangered birds to the carnivores. From this interview, we can understand that red meat proportions for carnivores have been cut down and supplemented with birds. This heartbreaking situation of zoo animals on the brink of starvation occurred a long time ago until nowadays. In another evidence of animal starvation is the Yementai Zoo. An article published by the National Geographic in the year 2016 stated that 265 animals, including rare leopards, at Yementai Zoo were famished for days, yet the government rejected some proposal to save them. According to Jonko Go, an animal lover who managed an online fundraising campaign, said, as they grow hungrier, the stronger ones might prey on the weaker ones, especially the big cats. Stress also can have a very negative effect on animals' behavior. Personally, I think that most of them will lie down and die slowly. These animals are forced to fight for their life by eating each other while trapped in a cage, but the government still truly refused to help as they deny the transport permits that might at the slightest. Sorry. These animals are forced to fight for their life by eating each other while trapped in a cage, but the government still cruelly refused to help as they denied the transfer permits that might, at the slightest, granting animals a chance to be extricated from the Houthi region and brought to another nation where they would have fate for a long time survival. Not to mention, zoos also have caused extreme malnutrition that slowly affect animals both physically and mentally. Physically, these animals grow weaker and have body weight below average, which leads to extreme health deterioration. Whereas mentally, they silently suffer from stress and depression. Later, begin to take a toll on their body strength. At the end of the day, we strongly agree that zoos and aquariums abuse animals by starving them. Now, I would like to pass the presentation over to my member.
Okay, thank you, Rania. So, lastly, from the evidence we found, we strongly believe that animals are being abused emotionally. Fundamentally, emotions and feelings are the initial things that drive us in doing something before we think carefully using our mind. In a simpler word, emotions in a simpler word, emotions and feelings are the things that define our behavior in everything we do. For instance, when we get angry, we tend to lose our temper and act out of control. When we are sad, we tend to behave emotionally and put ourselves in our own world without any interruptions. But when we are happy, we tend to behave in such a thrilling way as if problems never exist in our life. This also applied to animals. We may see animals so different from us humans. Some of them have such a big fat body, have wings, tall neck, big ears, and even small and tiny eyes. However, still, we breathe with the same air, being shown with the same light, and step on the same ground. Addition to that, they even have basic thoughts playing in their minds, and feelings and emotions exist in their heart. For instance, how can chimpanzees help each other if they don't have feelings? How can a hen chase anyone who tries to take its children if it does not have instincts as a mother towards its chicks? These situations show that animals do behave like us, but on their own styles and ways, not just physically, but emotionally too. As a living creature, we don't want our lives being surrounded by negative feelings as we demand joy and happiness in our lives. So do animals. According to animal equality, animals will get depressed and frustrated whenever their demands and needs cannot be fulfilled. Since they have feelings and emotions, they also want to live a life full of happiness and joy, like us. For instance, happiness for a cat may be when they have their own time to sleep or play with the toys. And perhaps happiness for a baby panda is when they got their fluffy parents to cuddle with. Nonetheless, emotions and feelings are the things that we cannot simply judge from the looks and appearance by using our raw eyes and unmature judgments. Thanks to the advancement in technology, according to the article published by the Scientific American, nowadays researchers can measure animals' happiness by calculating their level of chronic stress they suffer from. To measure this, researchers will observe their neurotic behaviors and hormone levels by conducting chemical tests on them. These include measuring their hormone levels of cortisol, nor, norepinephrine, adrenaline, and other stress hormones to provide a quantified means of measuring stress. Though life without stress does not guarantee happiness, it's the closest way the researchers get at the moment. Based on the same source, there is also some basis in animal cruelty regulations introduced to guarantee emotional stability in animals in terms of their environment. This basis includes the rights for animals to have comfortable conditions to live, the right to have enough food and water, and the right to express their normal behavior. Undoubtedly, if these bases were met in all zoos and aquariums, it would create a happy life to the animals and allow them to behave positively in everyday life. Sadly, most zoos and aquariums did otherwise. The animal equality reveals the devastating truth of the zoos and aquariums as they treat all of the animals without mercy, as they cage the animals for the rest of their life with their needs and interests remain unfulfilled. This situation may seem normal to us, but not for animals. Like us, animals can get depressed and bring many negative effects on them in terms of their emotions and health. Even worse, this situation can trigger aggressiveness inside of them, which can be exposed anytime without prior warning. As evidence, in my screen here is a suffering orca whale named Tilikum, or mainly known as Tilly. This picture was taken in 1983 when he was just 2 years old at the time he was being captured in the North Atlantic. According to John Hargrove, he was then being sent to the Sealand, a public aquarium in Canada. Tilly was known as a motivated and gentle whale by the trainers who worked with him at Sealand. However, things did not go well as he was being bullied by other cage mates frequently. As time went by, his personality slowly changed into an erratic and dangerous whale like never before. Things got even worse when one day a trainer at Sealand was killed by him. Despite the devastating incident, Tilly was then transferred to SeaWorld, a theme park in Florida, as the incident was assured to be caused by the poor pool design in Sealand. However, still, things didn't go well as another two incidents followed by his existence in SeaWorld. From this story, I'm sure most people might see Tilly as a monster. However, believe it or not, he was just a victim of human cruelty in exploiting animals' rights to live free. Addition to that, his dark experiences had brought him to behavioral dysfunction and constant medications to treat his chronic illness due to severe infections he had throughout the confinement. In conclusion, Tilly's tragic life clearly portrays that animals in captivity, whether in zoos or aquariums, are being tortured emotionally and psychologically, which leads to negative effect on their health, life survival, and even us as humans. When talking about zoos and aquariums, no doubt many people would think of these places as educational facilities for people. Believe me, whenever someone knows nothing about animals, many people, including their family, would suggest him or her to go to the zoos and aquariums to explore the world of animals and fishes, and at the same time learn what makes animals differ from one another. Many years ago, zoos and aquariums had been through its dark ages as it was just a symbol of royal wealth and power. However, thanks to the developments and innovations made by the intelligence, Zoos and aquariums have evolved in so many aspects as years passed. This includes the safety technologies equipped around the zoos, security requirements in every exhibition, ethical guidelines in conducting animals, and the most important one, the emergence of many government and non-government associations dealing with regulations. These associations includes the most popular one, which is the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or shortly known as WAZA. According to WhatsApp, nowadays zoos and aquariums have become a popular hub for animal research and education among scientists and even communities. They are also considered as the best centers to provide information about the wonders of the natural world, including flora and fauna, and the need for people to protect and conserve them from extinction. This is because normal for zoos and aquariums to have various kinds of plants living together with the animals. As living creatures, we and animals cannot deny the fact that our lives depend on the plants as we breathe from the oxygen filtered by them. This situation is like killing two birds with one stone because the visitors can learn about animals and greeneries all in one place. Despite this, zoos and aquariums are also significantly known for their conservation efforts. Waza stated that this situation is mainly caused by two reasons. First, zoos and aquariums are equipped with many experts in collecting animals. Second, they have international networks between other zoos and aquariums around the globe. However, all of the arguments given by the opposition that I just stated a few minutes ago can be accounted by some evidence we found questioning the alleged educational role of zoos and aquariums. We personally do not agree with the title of educational and conservation role upon zoos and aquariums. As stated by the Animal Equality in one of its articles, the thing that zoos teach people is such a dangerous lesson, as zoos prove that as human we have the right to enslave animals and define their meaning of life. From all examples in our main ideas that we state from the beginning of our representation, the sad story of a young giraffe named Marius and a polar bear named Nora, the struggles of animals to survive in the Indonesia zoos and Yemen Thai zoo, and the devastating life of an orca whale named Tilly. How much evidence more that we should state here to boldly say that zoos truly teach dangerous lessons to its visitors, in which teaching them to torture animals by limiting their freedom, causing starvation, and make animals feel depressed and frustrated. Apart from that, zoos also did not teach children anything at all, as what most people think of. From the finding on the research conducted by the conservation biology, the stigma that zoos educate children appears to be untrue after all. From 2,800 children who have gone through guided and unguided visits in the London Zoo, 62% of them showed no indicator of learning something new about environmental conservation. This was mainly due to the fact that animals in zoos were being exploited for entertainment and stunted their true behavior. How can someone learn about conservation when he or she sees a dolphin doing tricks while the instructor keeps giving it treats for passing the obstacles? From these evidences, we truly believe that zoos and aquariums keep on standing in the name of conservation and education in order to gain profit without realizing the cruelty that has been implemented since the very beginning. In conclusion, we strongly believe that zoos and aquariums are abusive toward animals in the aspects of animal torture, starvation, and limitation of freedom. Since a few centuries ago, zoos had been developed from a wealthy symbol to a facility in which claims to protect and preserve animals, but still keeping its misconduct behavior throughout the centuries until this day, as the statistics showing that animal cruelty is still at a high peak. In zoos and aquariums, animals' emotions keep being dominated as if they were puppets that live for humans' entertainment. They are also being treated as non living creatures as they are not being fed and left to starve all day long. Their freedom is also being limited as if their life is just as big as the cage they live in. Therefore, we really put our hope high up in the sky so that people will be aware of this devastating truth behind zoos and aquariums. With more strict regulations set up by the higher authorities, also could be a turning point for the better of the animals. Apart from that, there is also an alternative that the zoos and aquariums could implement to ensure an ethical conduct on animals with releasing them in a wildlife safari. We boldly believe that animals can define their true meaning of life in which they should be living in the wildlife safari, hunting for prey, moving free, having a big family, moving in packs and herds, and fighting for territory. From this alternative, we as humans can also benefit from it as we can still observe their behaviors, being entertained with their natural stance, and the most important one is conserving the animals from the brink of extinction.
So thank you, Harry. As for my final thoughts, when we first started our research, I was quite skeptical about this topic because I'm not aware about how serious it is. But by the end of the day, I realized that animals are treated with cruelty even if they are in the safest place like zoos and aquariums. That's all for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with Rania. Throughout the research period, for me personally, at first, I didn't really believe in the animal misconduct that happens in the zoos and aquariums throughout the globe. However, when I slowly doing research, going through various websites and articles, I'm quite shocked and feel really devastated as I slowly unveil the truth of animal cruelty behind the zoos and aquariums. From the research we have been carried out, we really hope at least the reader who going through our research will have a bit of awareness regarding the animal cruelty that happens in the zoos and aquariums. Well, as for now, all of our research has been in the last stage to be refined and finalized before we are going to submit this Sunday. So, all in all, we believe animals also have the right to live in their own way. We, as a human, should not be the one to define their meaning of life. Like us, animals also have a very precious life, which should not be wasted. As the saying goes, you only live once. If you do it right, once is enough. So, for that, thank you so much from me and Rania Shaza. See you again. Bye.